I'm watching them, how they're interacting, how engaged they are. It's what we teach. People pay you for how they feel. If this isn't something they look forward to and enjoy, then we failed. And I want to provide something, an environment, the Lion, that people love to be in and want others to be in. And full circle, we grew it through word of mouth. Every person in there is from someone else.
Welcome to Sales Assassins, the podcast that unveils the lost art of word of mouth marketing for professionals just like you. We cover everything from building relationships and nurturing connections to overcoming the challenges of modern marketing. You'll learn how to stand out in a crowded market, charge confidently for your services, and create an army of people recommending you without hesitation. Now, let's dive in and make you deadly effective at sales. Hey, all you assassins and would-be assassins out there, welcome to the show. Joe, how is it, sir?
Man, I am on fire. We just came back from our in-person in Scottsdale and tons of takeaways. Group was, just ready to get after it, even in November, just like we talked about. They're ready to make the sprint. So it was a great event. Best one we've had. Best people. I love it.
That's so much fun. And I thought it'd just be perfect to dig in and kind of do a recap of that and a lot of what you dove into during this past week with them would be so great for the audience because, I mean, this is your Lion, your inner circle. These are the folks. So this is that in-person mastermind. You're doing these 3 times a year, right?
Correct. Every 4 months. So our next one will be in March. We're going to do it down here in the OBA, Orange Beach, Alabama, home turf. So
nice.
Yeah.
Make it a little easier on Joe.
Oh, no.
You're like, what? No, not at all.
I got a little homesick.
I can imagine. I would as well. But yeah, so what are some of the highlights? I guess really let's zoom out too and make sure that people understand. Give them a little recap of this inner circle. What its purpose is, and then why even do these in-person masterminds like that? Why is that structure like that?
Well, the in-person event is to bring everyone together and camaraderie, accountability, and it's. I mean, it sounds trite. It's a vibe. Like you can feel it when they arrive, when we get down to business, when we go have fun. I mean, it just brings. We're all across the country. We bring everyone together in person 3 times a year. We see each other on Zoom. We do one-on-one and we have a bi-weekly mastermind, but there's nothing like being together. You can't replace. That's why I always say chemistry can't be commoditized. There's a special feel to it. A lot of, if I would call it the cartilage, a lot of it's happening in between sessions, at dinner, at cocktails. I mean, it's just, we talk about private client events. It's essentially my private client event. And I love doing them. It's my favorite thing, other than the podcast, Jason. Other than the podcast, it's
I
just,
know. I just assumed that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it gives you something to look forward to. You get to meet people you just never would have met. And there's I'll kind of go into the mechanics a little bit. The Lion Inner Circle is really focused on maximizing your existing business. So it's really maximizing your revenue, your team, and getting the most that you can for yourself, your clients, your teammates, and everything. And then we talk about how to multiply wealth, because if you came out of Assassins, you may have gotten to where you are with you and maybe 1 or 2 other people. These people have teams, they have big businesses. They're really trying to create, equity value in their business, multiply their wealth through business acquisition, real estate, strategic partnerships. They're just doing that at a higher level. And a lot of our inner circle have their salespeople or their marketing in our Assassins group now. And then the one of the biggest things, and it's cornerstone to all of us, is we want to make our families indestructible. So it's really, how do I do those first 2 things without destroying the family? And we spent, the last part of the meeting really talking about how to do that, and we've talked about it here before, but it's just really about maximize your business, multiply your wealth, make that family the most important thing. And it's a commonality to get into the inner circle. I mean, we vet one of my primary roles would be to make sure the gates are kept and that we don't allow someone in that would hurt the group. And we've had some people come and go and some great friends, but for the majority of them, been there a long time. We're adding to it. We had a couple new, really, really dynamic, great people. Shout out to Rich Bales. and to Jay and Jeff Lev. But bigger shout out to the existing Lions. They're the ones that, the thing I look for are there people out there that want to do something they didn't think they could do. When I left what I was doing and it's an attorney, you go, probably ought to stop talking about it. But when I left the safety net of the corporate world, I took a giant leap of faith, and we talk about, what are you doing that you didn't think you can do? And that's really where we started the meeting is what if, it's kind of like if you won the lottery, what would you do? If you had 6 months to live, like start thinking about, don't put things off to tomorrow. I actually asked them, I said, if you couldn't do anything else, what would you do? And then we went into goals. It was kind of like getting refocused on where you want to put your time and energy in. It builds upon itself. It was awesome. Scottsdale was amazing. It was a little chilly. My blood must have thinned out down here in Alabama because 65 felt cold. I did learn that there's a way to turn the heat on in your room that I was a little technically deficient, but yeah, it took me 2 days, so I was 62 in my room. But no, it was really about getting ready to springboard, and I basically said 2025 started October 1, so they got us. We're talking about sprinting through the year, and I know we've had that conversation, but now how do I get ready, laser focused for 2025? Who do I leverage? What's my major purpose? And then what am I going to do for my family? So it was just, I don't know. It was incredible. And we got great people. I mean, I'm one of those, some people, it's all about business. I mean, it's not one or the other for us. It's you got to gel with the group and really stretch your limits and your comfort zone. And everybody stepped up, and it was phenomenal.
I love that. And before we get into even a little more nitty gritty in there, I really want to call out for the audience too how powerful this idea is that you described the folks who are in the Lion, and they're already heavy hitters. They're kicking butt. They've been doing amazing things, and even these folks need help pushing through to that next level, to even letting that in. And I hope that resonates with everyone, whether they're ready to go into Assassins or all the way up into the Lion, that we all need that help sometimes to go, hey, you're pretty amazing. Yes, you've done all these things. Let's look at what's possible at a bigger level, because as much as we do or as little as we do, it's incremental, right? It's day by day. And so yeah, of course I can do that. Of course I can do that. But we see these other maybe milestones way out there, and we don't look back and realize, oh, I'm at somebody else's milestone right now, and I think that's a powerful lesson.
Well, it's easy to stay where you are. I mean, so there, you think about if I'm going to Assassins, there's a heavier need of necessity. So my revenue, and if I work for someone, hitting those benchmarks. When I own my own business, I'm on an island for the most part. Most business owners are on an island, meaning they really don't have anyone that they can go deep with or be held accountable with. But now it's no longer a necessity to breathe. It becomes a hunger. Like when the lion's hungry, he eats. So, and the lion's not me or them, or the lion's an environment. Like it's an environment of status quo, complacency aren't acceptable. And we adhere to what we call the muster principle. And if I've talked about this, I'll bore everyone. But, if you and I went to lunch and I had a big glob of mustard on my chin and you didn't say anything to me, that's you being selfish, not wanting to tell me something because of how you would feel versus, hey, man, you got mustard on your chin. You need to get that off. You got another meeting. It's taking care of each other. It's telling the hard truths about what they see. And the power of it is, especially in the mastermind, you're getting different industries, different geographies, different age ranges, all kinds of different things looking in on your business and what you're looking to do. So you're getting an unbiased set of questions and curiosity. And it's very helpful because all of us are good at what we do. If you get through Assassins, you've got your gusher dialed in. Like, what you do well and what to do repeatedly, but you can get in the tunnel and not see the blind spots. I mean, most businesses, when they get to that point, they fail to catch up because they're so focused in. It's not to take your eye off the ball. It's for other people to see what you're not doing or to ask the questions you just take for granted. So it's one of those environments where they're talking back and forth, or we're putting them up in front of everyone, standing and delivering, talking about what they're going to do and getting some feedback. And again, I encourage, if you're a professional, so you have a profession, it's advisory, real estate, coaching, whatever it is, you should be ingrained in a hygienical learning mechanism, meaning a mastermind of coaching that is to your hygiene. However, what we teach needs to be unbiased, because what happens is you get in that groupthink mentality and you hear, say, and see all the same stuff. So when you get it from, if you have someone that's training aggressive dogs talking to someone who's managing millions of dollars, they see the world differently. And that tends to come out, and vice versa. So it's the power of the mastermind, and it's 100 years old. I didn't invent it, but that's creating a super conscious. You got all these people going in the same direction with the same mentality, and those are the similarities, but the differences are what make it special, because everybody has a different reality that they view the world through, and we get that feedback. It's almost like if you're an inner circle, you're getting 4 levels of accountability. So not only are you accountable to yourself, me, your team, but now you've got a group of people that are vested in your success that are there to help you. So it's probably the thing I'm most proud of professionally, and more than anything, it's the people I love. I don't want to make it too much about me, because I hope they love it too. And in their survey forms that they did anonymously, they said they loved it, but we'll see. But some people spend time with people, one of the cornerstones of pillars is no A's. Some people force themselves to spend time with that. I don't. I only spend time with people I really, truly care about and want to see succeed, and we like each other. So as you build a bigger business, that becomes a bigger possibility. You don't have to take everyone. You don't have to do everything. Now you can get really focused on leverage. And we really started around getting the goals cemented, because 98% of the population doesn't even know what they want. Like, they don't write anything down. And some people, I watch the internet and stuff, like, they shit on goals or whatever. But if you don't have one, I don't know where to start you. Like, if you don't have a target, what are you doing? So we really, and we do that as a practice every year, and then check in on them. We do quarterly big bites where we're, 90 days and where are you at? Because you have to measure to something, but that's the starting point. Just having a target and what you want. So there's if you're writing your goals down and you're doing it consistently, you're doing something that almost no one does. That's just a start. And then how do I get what I would call performance leverage or leverage? How do I maximize my output around that and get laser focused? It's called a major definite purpose. So I take one of those and I really hone in on that for this year. And we went deep into that. And then who? It's not what, it's then who do I spend my time with? Who do I explore relationships with? Who do I bring onto it was so that there's like different levels of leverage. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about, because they, again, go back to the island and it's like just me. Well, that's not how this works. There's a lot of people, you and I, for example, we are in different industries, and I certainly couldn't do this without you. You might be able to pull it off without me, but I can't. I can barely get the camera turned on. So it's like, how do you build those relationships and leverage for what you're trying to accomplish? Which for us in Assassins, we want everyone who's a professional in sales to know pillars, like know it and then do it. So that's, And by the way, I know I'm rambling. By the way, sometimes you don't need new information. One of the takeaways was go back to the 15 invaluables for the inner circle and go back through all the modules, learnings, and everything, and get that done by next Monday. And now everyone's holding each other accountable. Sometimes we just need reminded. Like I know pretty much what to do. So do you. But if I'm not held accountable and I'm not reminded and I'm not in an environment, I'm not going to do it, because by nature, I'm going to do the least amount that I can to get to where I am. And then if you want to go further, now you got to start doing things you wouldn't have done.
Right. And not because we're inherently lazy. We've got 1,000 other things going on. Right.
Yeah.
So
life still happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love that idea of going back to basics. I love this approach of really being purposeful with yes, having your hygiene, being in those coaching training for your industry, for your lane, there's power in that. And then being really purposeful with being outside of that to get that perspective. It's so strong. With that qualifier that you have in place of other high performers in their industry, right? It's an important
Correct.
distinction for sure. So walk us through the structure, because this isn't just everyone shows up and like, hey, what's happening for several days.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So what is that?
So this may surprise anyone who knows me. I actually do an agenda, and I say I, Lauren does. So we haven't the way it's like a rhythm, and I came from, again, somebody out there comment if you ever wanted to say stop talking about where you came from because no one gives a shit. But I mean, all of us have been in meetings where like you don't get a piss break. They're trying to ram as much stuff in as possible because they're trying to milk the dollar for whatever the venue, and it's like it's not enjoyable. It's crusty. You're crammed in. It's a cattle call. Like I always start the meeting. This is an anti-meeting. This is not something like that you've ever attended, because I hated those, even though I had to do them and probably done some bad. I mean, responsible for all the things I just pointed fingers at. So 3 back at me. I like it to be more of an interaction, a stand and deliver, meaning you're not going to just sit there and listen. This is you can't come here and just be quiet. So the way that we format it is we bring everybody together for a nice reception on a Thursday night. And we did it at the Grand Hyatt in Scottsdale. And there was an amazing wedding going on across the property. And it was a cool environment. We had our own little private table out by the pool, and there's a little lake there and everything. So it was a nice ambiance. It was a little chilly, but we had those heaters. But I want to bring everyone together. We do a little happy hour, and then we have a nice dinner and we talk. And that kind of gets everybody together and warmed up. So we do that on a Thursday night. We start bright and early on Friday, have a nice breakfast. I'm big on food. I don't know if anyone can tell. So like it was, shout out to the Hyatt, best bacon I've had probably in my life. It was amazing. Saturday, I may have had 3 plates of it. It was freaking phenomenal. So we'll have a breakfast, and then we'll get started. I'll warm them up with, we'll start with a question to kind of get them thinking, let them introduce themselves, and then ask a pertinent question so that they think and they get a little vulnerability and connectivity. And then we dive into some learning. So we'll spend 30 to 45 minutes learning and not just listening. It's them doing some work together at tables, and they get some feedback there. Although it was pointed out, so shout out, we did not adhere to change tables on day 2. We'll do that next time. And we had done that in the past. But, people, you watch them, they're habitual. They go to right where they were. I do it in church. Like if someone sits in my seat at church, I'm furious. And I should be there to worship. But I'm like, why'd they take my seat? So anyway, we do that, and then everyone has an opportunity to get up and share what they're committing to. So they go through the learning, but here it's a takeaway, and here's what I'm committing to. And now you've done a few things that you would never do on your own. You've said out loud to a group, but more so to you. I've just professed in public to a group of people I trust that I'm going to do something. So that's a heavy hitter on accountability, and now everyone knows about it. So it's like, I've said this out loud, I've got to follow through. So we'll go through that. We do a long lunch. We have long breaks, mostly because I'm old and frequent. So we do that. We'll cap the day. We actually did something around stress, and I made a fool of myself and showed them all the exercises and affirmations and how I deal with stress. But it was a topic the last probably 5 months. I mean, you get to this point in the year, you've accumulated stress, you've got deadlines. So it was like, how do I, in the moment, break those patterns and anchors? I don't meditate, so I don't talk about stuff I don't do. Now we have someone in the group. Shout out to Gary. This is the second time he gets a shout out. He's the one, Paradigm Nuance. He meditates and he swears by it, and I think it does work. I personally don't do that. But there's a lot of things that we do that in the moment we're patterned to become stressed out. So like sometimes we get mad or stressed at a certain time because guess what? Your body's a clock. So how to break those up, that's how we wrap up the day. And then we went to Top Golf and had a golf tournament. And that was a blast, and really, really good food at Top Golf. Another shout out. There's a pattern here, if you notice. But that's, and the thing for me, our clients' results are the most important thing. Like, however, some of those results are intangible. Revenue numbers and things like that are really important. And if you're not hitting them, you're not staying. So that's a given. That's my hygiene. What I'm really noticing and what I'm starting to probably be more grateful for is the relationships. And even when we do our client case studies, it's not, hey, I hit my numbers. They're crushing. I mean, we got people in there that are 4 or 5x their numbers. It's, what does this group mean to me? Our relationship, it's like that intangible that I just didn't have before. And you see that when you bring people from all over the country together and they're, hooting and hollering and playing golf together. And there's some pretty good golfers there. But that was fun. And then on Saturday, we generally culminate it, have one more see them deliver. We ended up talking about, we're going to do something in 2025 called the Lion Cubs. And so Lauren and I are going to put together something for their children. And they're going to get an opportunity to participate. So they're going to share their life lessons and their business lessons and some challenges to the group for each other's kids. So we're all, it ended on family. Really start in that session. We were talking about planting the seeds in your family. Cause you can't, I think we mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about what it takes, but you can't spend hours upon hours with family members at will. Now you can spend some time with them, but it's probably more important to plant the seeds. What am I actually doing there? So we have an accountability on that daily, on planting seeds of different things within the family. So that's great. And then we want to bring the kids in because I don't want to go on a political tangent, but I'm not, and this wasn't my original idea. This came from Courtney, shout out. Our kids aren't getting that type of input at school, and this is more real life, and it's kids. So I said, keep in mind their attention spans this long and they relate to stories. So we're not going to lecture them, but I'm excited about that. I just think it's another thing we can do. And that's how we ended it up. And then, some people had to go home, but then that afternoon, Courtney and Chris were gracious. They invited everyone out to their, I would call it a ranch. I mean, it's spread out adobe, unbelievable, bottom of a mountain, awesome. And we relaxed there and watched some good football, Alabama, Tennessee, some actual good games. So it was just, it's almost like a family to me. For me, it feels like that. You'd have to question them, but there's a high level of trust, high level of accountability, and everybody is rooting for the other person. And when I sit in the back and now I'm giving away my secrets, so they're not going to want me to sit in the back. I'm watching them, how they're interacting, how engaged they are. Because I want them, if they don't like this, it's what we teach. People pay you for how they feel. If this isn't something they look forward to and enjoy, then we failed. And I want to provide an environment, the Lion, that people love to be in and want others to be in. And, it's full circle. We grew it through word of mouth. Every person in there is from someone else. So that's really cool. It's my favorite thing. Now I really do get homesick because I don't know if I'm old or what, but I don't like being away from home for 4 or 5 days. So, but I do it because that's important. So yes, you're all welcome. We're coming to Orange Beach so I can be home a little bit too.
And let's talk about that a little bit. What is the language that the attendees are using when they either in those anonymous surveys or you hear in that conversation with each other? What is that of the why they attend? Do you have some of that?
I do. I can start reading the surveys. I'm right here. Well, one thing that's and for those of you that are coaches, or because I know we have some assassins and some out there, you've done a good job when people start using your acronyms and your language. I hear pillars, stand and deliver, ACAP. SAP. You hear the little things because that's how we program into the mind what to do. It's not, it's good. They start speaking the language, and that go to any company, you all have it. Hell, at Merrill Lynch, we had an acronym book. If they had so many, you had to have, you onboarded with a book. So you really start hearing everybody speak that because then they know that what the other person is talking about. But the language around what they like is, and you can see it in the comments, is I enjoy getting up in front of everyone and stand and deliver. So they're saying, I know what I'm doing here. That's what's most powerful to me. Or, it's the dinner and the breaks. They're not saying this was the greatest content I've ever seen. No one says that. Some people ask for a little more structure or time because I try to keep it short. And I've considered it. My thought on it is you don't want to be there all day. You want to end mid-afternoon. I mean, think back to any meeting that ended at 5:30, how you felt at 4. And you look down and said, holy shit, we got to go another hour and a half. So, but the way they talk about it, it's the experience, not the numbers. It's what it feels like to be there and what they're getting from that. And that's when I know we have something special. And I started this, I think that was our 6th in person. And I actually was in I'm in 2 masterminds now, but I was in a different mastermind. And part of it was how to build a mastermind. And there was like 230 some people in that. And it's still kind of loosely online. I think there's like 2 of us that are still going. It's not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. I mean, I tell myself it's easy and effortless so that it feels easy and effortless. But at the end of the day, and I act like I do a lot. I mean, behind the scenes, Lauren is working her tail off. She's there. She's dealing with the hotel and all the back end administrative stuff. That's where it gets choppy. Is you have to be there and be on. And if you don't have someone that has that thing A to Z plus 3, you'll be a nervous wreck. So I have the benefit and the luxury of having someone who is great at that and enjoys it, and they love her. I mean, I would, if we polled if we said, who do you like more? Check one of the bosses. It certainly
that's why it's not on the form.
Right? I know. It
Yeah.
certainly isn't me because I would lose that vote. But she's done, and she has done a fantastic job of making sure that when you get there till the time you leave is great. And it's more valuable than you think. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in these on, well, what are we going to do? That's not what it is. It's what does it feel like to be here? And what are my takeaways that I'm actually going to get something from, not like the mechanics of this, and this. Those are important. Again, we talk about hygiene. That's hygiene. It has to be good. So it's not crappy, but that's not where the magic happens. The magic is in being together and knowing, hey, I got someone else out there that's going through what I'm going through, and they want me to win just as bad as I want to win.
It's great feedback to hear. And it also makes complete sense too, that the dominant language is around that experience, the feeling, the other people there. Because if it wasn't turning into tangible results down the road or in their business throughout the year, they wouldn't stay, right? Not for that long. Like, again, back to hygiene, like that better be
That's
serving
expected.
that purpose. Yeah.
But I mean, I like to think I'm a revolutionary at times. However, most ideas are R&D. They're ripped off and duplicated. I mean, I've yet to see one that was like the original thought. Maybe creation. That was probably it. Since then, it's just an iteration. And part of it for, so coaches out there, you don't have to be super original. You need some uniqueness. Like Pillars is unique. Pillars there's forms of it, but it's not regimented into a flywheel where you do the things you like with the people you like, you both prosper, and that's your lifestyle. That's pretty unique. So that's a unique, but it's not like rocket science. And again, I'll go back to, I think people, the more I do this, they ask me my takeaways. The more that I do this, and with the more people, especially across the spectrum of age and where they're at, it's the basics. Like our challenge is back. It's the 101s. People, I know everyone can tell this by looking at me. I was a phenomenal college football player. I know this. Like you looked at it, you're like, man, that dude was good. However, people, and I hate to make too many sports analogies, but if you can't run through the A gap, if you can't run the dive up the middle, you really can't do anything else. Because we'll just sit back. I play defense. We'll just sit back on you. if you're not a threat, we'll just sit back on you. So I think people want like the spread offense out of the gate. And it's like, run the dive, like get, 3 yards in a cloud of dust consistently, that we have to respect that. Then we'll spread
and then
the
do it
field.
again.
Right.
And do it again.
Correct.
And do it again. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, and that was something that kind of came out. I was like, sometimes even I assume people know all this because they've had exposure to it, and a reminder is pretty important. And it was unanimous. Like, so let's get back to basics. Let's, walk through those 15 invaluables again. And it's a reminder. It's repetition is the mother of all skill. The great Tony Robbins says that, and he's right. Like, it's reps. So I found it to be in that moment to be one of those things where I'm like, okay, sometimes I get too far ahead when we need to get back and make sure this is, and that's normal. I mean, part of being the leader is seeing, climbing up the tree and looking out into the jungle and seeing where we're going, but also we got to get to the jungle. So that was, it was a good moment. It was a good reminder to me. It was a good moment for me. Most of the time I'm coaching myself. Like, I think everybody thinks that they're, like most of the things when you get into this type of business where you're helping people do more than they ever thought they could, you're reiterating it to you as well. You get better. Any teacher, any coach, anyone out there, they get better when they do it more, the more they work with people. So it's like that as a perpetuity of self-improvement. And I know it's crazy, but I make mistakes sometimes.
I don't believe it, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, I do.
That's great. There's so many lessons in here for folks, both in, yes, aspiring to get to that place, to be able to jump in and join the Lion, but also all along the way as you're leading your one person in your organization, keeping these things in mind, revisiting the basics, going back through while charting that course ahead. And again, like you said, doing it for yourself as well.
So Assassins is a derivative of the island. And we have our newest thing is called Leadership Academy, the Lion Leadership Academy. And it's for that reason, because I'm on the island trying to do it all myself. I need other people that get it, understand it, and we're all moving in the same direction. So we have other schools where we'll come in and help. And, if you got a leader that's aspiring, we'll help. And we've got a great facilitator in there that's done it at a high level for a long time. Shout out Alpha Honor. And I mean, that dude, he's been doing it a long time and had big responsibility, and he's great with leaders. So we're built, the environment in itself is not single environments. It's really, the way I'm seeing it is you need to get started in Assassins and get the muscle memory and the results there, ascend to the inner circle. And we have our immersion where if you want us to do everything for you one-on-one to your teams, we'll do that. I had a meeting out there with a big business on Tuesday. I went out a day early, and we can do that as well. But it's just creating this place to bring everybody to and to win together. That's the way when I look at it, it's like, this is something people will want to be a part of and do. And it's just going to get bigger. So I'm tickled. I don't know. It sounds like old man saying that, but I am.
Exactly. You're really leaning into this old man aspect, aren't you?
Golly,
geez,
let me tell you why.
Plumb tickled.
Let me tell you why. I was tired on Monday, and it caught me. I was like, what the hell? Why am I tired today? So that just we put a lot of energy into it and traveled, but I don't remember being that tired the Monday after. But that's a sign of I gave it what I had. So I can take one day of being tired. Hell, I got 5 kids. I pretty much live my entire adult life tired.
Fantastic. Well, I'm ecstatic that it went well. I had no doubt that it was going to, but I really wanted to bring these lessons over, some tangible stuff from the Mastermind event itself,
yep,
but also this idea of going through it, whether you want to run a version like this yourself or just look for these to be a part of them. And they are so important, and keep that leveling up aspect. So it's awesome. Fantastic. And we will see you all on the next one.
Peace.
In a sea of endless digital noise, your ability to connect and generate authentic word of mouth is your deadliest weapon. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to break through to the next level, the principles we discuss here are your blueprint for success. It's all about being the most trusted and valued in your network. To maximize what you've learned today, visit joinsalesassassins.com to see how you can become a true sales assassin in your industry. Until next time, keep sharpening your skills, expanding your network, and remember, in the world of sales, the true assassins strike silently but effectively by doing what nobody sees coming, building genuine connections and powerful relationships. Stay deadly, stay authentic, and we'll see you on the next episode of Sales Assassins.
This show is powered by Media Leads. To get your next great podcast produced, go to MediaLeadsCo.com.